Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things Quicksilver.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we will carry on with our deep dive of Quicksilver with chapters 5 to 7. And just heads up, we might use strong language and explore adult themes.
This episode will contain spoilers from Quicksilver, the Kingfisher POV chapters on Callie Hart's website, and snippets of information we've had from Callie Hart herself.
And before we start, quick reminder, if you want early access to our episodes, bonus content every month, and no annoying ads like this one, you can have all of this becoming a supporter. You can try it for free now and cancel anytime. For the best deal, visit faithfullyfantasy.com or simple subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for instant access. Don't miss out and become part of our community.
Also, if you're enjoying the show, please take a second to rate us wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all of it. It helps more fantasy lovers find us, and it's the easiest way to support what we do. A quick tap and you've made our day. A quick recap of how our Quicksilver episodes are running. First, we have the map tent, which is a short summary of the week's chapters fit to prep the Lupo Paralia. We'll then dive deeper than you ever thought was possible into the fine print, scouring the pages for clues of what is to come. Then we'll flick through the pages of Adina's sketchbook, channeling our oracle powers, just like Fisher's mummy, and recapping our favourite theory of the week, foreshadowing what could happen in Brimstone and beyond. We'll set you up with the chapters you'll want to reread before we enter the part of the show where we listen to the ethereal whispers and answer a question from the Quicksilver.
So, without further ado, let's enter the map tent.
Saeris finally meets Queen Madra's right-hand man, Harron, and he's giving torture first, ask questions never energy. He stabs her, twists the blade for good measure, and sneers that she's about to die. Except the story isn't that short, thank all seven gods. Saeris melts his sword mid-stab, and suddenly she's the one doing the stabbing. Cue the ground turning into liquid silver. A godlike figure with a necklace, or is it Death himself, rises out of it. Saeris nearly dies in his arms, while Harron appears to be going gaga in the corner. Next thing she knows, Saeris wakes up in the bougiest ice palace ever. Endless water, heated halls, actual baths, and meets Lady Pointy Ears, Everlayne. A polite but spirited fae with perfect manners and zero patience for human misconceptions. Saeris learns she's in Evalia, home of the fae, and the sword she pulls makes her their new obsession. Cue her being paraded in front of Everlayne's daddy, King Bellicon, who has zero tolerance for backchat. Bellicon brings out the dog, and everyone's screaming about old wars, broken exiles, and whether to kill him or crown him. The oracle, Malway, jumps in mid-prophecy, orders Bellicon to obey the gods or your house crumbles, and forces Bellicon to give Kingfisher his magic necklace back. By the end, Saeris is stuck in Fae court politics. Kingfisher is reluctantly her mentor/prison buddy, and the Fae are hinting she's supposed to awaken the Quicksilver. Oh, and there's still a war raging in the background. No pressure, Saeris.
Okay, now let's go to the part of the show where we scour the pages for clues of what is to come. Let's go to the fine print.
Yeah. So this, 5 to 7, this is where it starts getting interesting. This is where we meet Kingfisher. This is where we enter the realm of the Fae. So there's so much to get stuck into this week. So chapter 5, the title, Heretic. So heretic means misbeliever, skeptic, or religious outcast. It seems to be used in this world as someone who has magic, someone who is kind of against the order of things, which is ironic because the queen herself is obviously involved in some heresy at some point because she's bloody immortal and she shouldn't be.
Yes. So it's really interesting because I'm not sure exactly what we're going to see here. There's had that kind of descriptions. Maybe it's Harron behavior with Saeris, but it's something that we'll see here. Because we start the chapter with Madra saying to Harron, make her sing. And there's a part when Harron, he knows that he has to do it. And even Saeris says that he has like a glassy eyes before taking the sword. So I'm not sure how to take this because it's he doesn't want to do it, but he knows that he has to do it. Or maybe he doesn't want to do it, but he is maybe under a spell or something that he has to just obey Madra.
Yeah, I think Harron's eyes being glassy is a definite show here that he's either under some oath, some control, or it could be even more unhinged than that. It could be that he is undead, and this is why he is, because Madra won't let Harron die. So it could be some kind of weird sign that he's part of the undead. But I do genuinely believe that this is kind of a mind control or a body control hint. She does say whatever sympathy he may have felt for me as he dragged her up from the cells was gone now and was replaced with nothing. He obviously has changed, and we see this again a little bit later in the chapter, that when Madra's around, he seems very different to when she isn't. And when she's like, or when he seems to be obeying her orders.
Yes, so it's again, he's under the spell because, like you say, he has no feelings at this point. He has a job to do and he's just doing it. And even there's a point where he knows that she's about to die. He's like silent, don't worry, this will go quick.
Yeah, the good thing.
Yes.
And I've made this quicker for you. Because I gave you such a big wound.
Yeah.
He says, death is an open doorway that's meant to be walked through. On the other side of it lies peace. Count yourself lucky that you get to make the journey at all. And we find out kind of later that Madra won't let him die. I feel like he's got some death wish, hasn't he? He wants to die.
It definitely feels that he is already dead, but is her the one who's not letting go to maybe the other side?
The beyond, yeah.
Yes, because she's not letting me die.
Yeah.
So maybe he's already dead, not that he won't die.
Has he been with her since the beginning, do you think?
Could be, like from 1,000 years ago or something like this, because there's a description about his uniform and it's saying that it's something
traditional.
Old. Yes.
Yeah, but I felt like there isn't reference to him wearing a different uniform to the others, is there?
Yeah, it's maybe like the whole army, maybe.
Just really traditional. She's not, because they've not been attacked in thousands of years, there's not been any need to replace it, or this
grade the uniform.
Yeah, it's not failed.
Yeah.
And there's so much around kind of how impractical their uniform is, that it's really heavy, it's gold. There's some gaps in it that Saeris was able to stab and kill. I think she chopped off one of the guy's hands, didn't she?
Yes.
And she also stabbed someone in the back of the knee. So it's not very good armor, but they don't need any armor, and it's just a sign of how Madra is so convinced that she's infallible and her army is infallible, that they don't need any modern quote-unquote armor. There's a line here from Saeris that is like really cool.
Yeah.
It says, "We take more than we're given or we die. It's an easy decision. You'd do the same if it meant the difference between life and death." And he says, "Don't presume you know which way my moral compass points, girl."
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I generally don't know how to take it, because it seems that he knows he's doing the bad thing. There's not that he needs somebody to tell her that what he's doing is wrong. It's just that he had no choice. It's how it feels. It's just that he doesn't need anybody to tell her that what he's doing is wrong. But I start to think that it's just there's no option for him.
Yeah. And we see him again at the end of the book, so it does get really interesting. I wanted to call out the name Harron. It sounds like heron, and I know it's not heron, it's Harron, but it's just another bird reference, and I thought we could just pay attention to the amount of bird references we get throughout this book, because obviously we've got Kingfisher, Swift, Carrion Swift, we've got the bird tattoo on her chest. There's obviously a lot of
bird reference.
Bird symbolism.
Yes.
Here. Yeah, I just thought that although Harron isn't heron, and I know that I'm reaching, it just sounds like, and it made me think of another bird reference.
I mean, last episode I was talking about Elroy, so this one was not
We just switch one letter. And it's usually a vowel. We just switch up one vowel every episode.
Works for me, so
True.
all of that is welcome. Yeah. But it's like we were talking about this. It seems that Harron has like a maybe no option. And there's a part here when he said that for what is war, I'm sorry. That's what he says. So obviously he's just following orders. It's something that he had no choice. He has to do it.
Yeah, is there any other reason he could be sorry? And that's what we need to think about. He could be sorry because he's just doing Madra's orders. He could be sorry for the whole thing. He could be sorry that he's in this mess, that Madra is the queen, and that he could be sorry for multiple other things. And there is a really, really cool theory. You know that we've talked about Elroy being Kingfisher's dad.
Yes.
And while for me he is the number one candidate, there is a really sad theory by Me of the Sea that Harron is actually Kingfisher's dad. And hear me out on this, because it could make sense. He is chained to Madra.
Mm-hmm.
He had to shut the gate, or she did it for him. There's still a little bit of ambiguity. The rumour that Bellicon started was that Kingfisher's dad closed the gate, but Madra says that she did it. Kingfisher's dad got trapped in Sylvarin when he when he took Carrion there to keep him safe as a child. Well, he then could have become chained by Madra, some kind of control by Madra, glamoured so that he didn't look like Kingfisher's dad, which would explain why Kingfisher did not say anything or attempt to save him.
Mm-hmm.
Then you might ask, why would Kingfisher's dad, Harron, not recognise Kingfisher when he came through and try and tell him something?
Yeah.
Well, we already know within this world that Fae are bound by secrets, and they are forced not to be, or they're like kind of cursed not to be able to speak of them. So Kingfisher can't talk about what happened at Gilethrai. Every time he tries, it doesn't come out. He can't say it. Teledeus can't talk of things that Malcolm is keeping secret. They physically can't say it.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be what's happening to Harron. Harron could be here saying, I'm sorry, because he knows that she is prophesized to be with Kingfisher, and he's got to end her life, and in doing so, he's like ruining Kingfisher's life, but Kingfisher doesn't quite know yet. So he could be saying, I'm sorry, for something much deeper. While I do think Elroy is a better candidate, Elroy could also be Saeris' real father, and there's some hints to that as well.
Yeah.
So I just want to mention this theory, because while it's sad and there's I just can't find anything that proves that that's not the case.
Yeah. For me, it's more about feelings. Like you, I have no something to say specifically. It's not possible because of this, and this is a fact. But when I'm thinking about at the beginning, when they were chasing Hayden because they thought he was the one who stole the gauntlet, Saeris was there, Harron was there, but he didn't pay any attention to her. What attention was to Hayden. And then when Saeris was saying that she was the one who stole the gauntlet, when they tried to attack her and then she started to kill the guards, is when he started to feel interest on her. So it's not like he saw her and immediately there's a reaction or something. I think he's saying this is not your business, girl, just get out of here.
Yeah, you're right. I also think probably when we reread the last chapters again, there's the way that he acts is very different to the way that he's acting in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And he does seem more bloodthirsty, and he does seem more determined to kill. I think, thinking about it through the lens of the whole book, Harron does seem to get worse by the end of it.
Yeah.
So we'll see, though.
Yeah, maybe it's just me trying to think that I wish it's not.
No, I agree with you. I think Elroy's the better candidate. I do. But I thought it was such an interesting theory.
Yes, I mean, it's a theory.
Whatever the situation Kingfisher's dad is in at this point.
Yeah,
it's quite sad.
But however, he stabbed her.
Whoever he is, he stabbed her.
Yes. make her scream, just like Madra asked. And then he is telling her, I know it hurts, her murmurs, but it's temporary. It be over soon enough. And I remember the very first time when I was reading this, because I saw kind of like a chemistry and a good relationship between these two when they go into the palace. I thought that he actually had a plan, that he was doing it, but in the end, he will do something to save her.
Me too.
Everything was like meticulously planned.
Yeah, I thought that he was just doing it to make Madra think that he was
Yes.
killing her, and then he was going to get her out. And he said something like, "This will be your last night or your last few hours in Silvarin." Like he was going to get her out, but little did he know it would be her last few hours in Silvarin. But he meant that it would be that she'll be dead.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought at this time there was a plan as well. Some people say that they knew that Kingfisher was the main male character, but they didn't think Kingfisher was his real name, which we know it isn't, but it's what everyone calls him. So you might as well say that's his real name, but it's not his birth name. And they thought that Harron was the main male character that she was going to fall in love with.
Yeah.
Because of this interaction, there is some kindness there, although there isn't. Like,
there's
Callie Hart is trolling us.
I recognize that I was thinking exactly the same too, because I knew about Kingfisher, but I didn't knew in which part of the story he will appear. So I was looking for anything. The first one was Karen Swift, and when I saw that, well, it's probably not going to be this one. Then when happened the issue with Hayden, these guards, that he was so good, they started to have like a relationship, he offered him water and this kind of stuff. So I was thinking, this might be gonna be that Kingfisher, that maybe he is one of the more loyal guards from Madra, and then he start to see what she's doing to the third, and then he's just going to join. So I was like, with that idea.
He's already doing it from the inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it was just, nope, that's not happening here.
No. I know that Saeris kills him at the end. I don't think he's dead. I think he's coming back. But anyway, let's get to that bit.
Yeah.
So this is the first time that Saeris actually starts to hear the Quicksilver, I think, in earnest, isn't it? So a ragged howl bounced around the hall, growing louder and louder with each repetition. It was an inhuman sound, chilling and pitiful. Escape, escape, escape. I think this was the Quicksilver.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking the same. Not sure exactly if she being so close to the pool was reacting with her, and then it start kind of like waking it.
Yeah.
Because she, when it's thinking that she's going to die, but she needs to do something to defend herself, it's maybe when she reached to this power to control metals or control the Quicksilver.
Yeah, I also maybe suspect at this point that some of the whispering of the Quicksilver is via the gods, and possibly Baal and Mithin, the twins. So it could be her, it could be them that's saying escape, escape, escape through the Quicksilver. I don't think we ever get confirmation that the voices in the Quicksilver, what the voices in the Quicksilver are. I know that we hear what seems like all the voices that are trapped in the maze or around the maze through the Quicksilver at some point. But I do think that there's a clear link between the Quicksilver and the gods, because we get to the garden where Saeris and Baal and Mithin are. So we know there's a link, and we know that she gets dragged through the Quicksilver to go and talk to the gods. So yeah, some of that whispering could be the gods.
Yes. At this point, she has the sword in the stomach. Harron is going to raise another blade to stab her in the shoulder. But then it's when this power starts to awaken in Saeris. And Harron notices, obviously, the blade start kind of like melt. And he is like saying, how you doing that? This is not possible. She couldn't answer, obviously because she was in a lot of pain. But she was saying as well, there was pain, something inside of me, something cold and calm and made of iron, which I think is really curious word to describe that feeling, because we know now how iron affects the Fae. So I was just curious why she might use that to describe that feeling. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's going to be something later on that we're going to find that she might do as well, or she's able to do.
I can't say anything. We have had a sneak peek of Brimstone, and there is a little bit of a mention of iron in that.
So, yeah, maybe there's a link that we'll see in future books.
Maybe it's not massive. It's not huge. Don't get excited. Anyway, we are not going to be including spoilers from that here, but I can't wait for you to read it. You need to read it. So this part I thought was really similar to the lesser magic in the Empyrean, because she has a hand in her mind and she's reaching for it. And that reminded me of the lesser magic in where she grabs the pocket watch.
Mhm.
I thought that was pretty cool. I like it when you can see how the magic is performed, not just what the magic is. And this was Callie Hart explaining that she was kind of reaching for it, and there was a physical hand within her head that was kind of touching the Quicksilver.
Yes. The interesting part in this scene as well is how Harron's called this. He called it this is just heretical magic, and I guess this is why the chapter is called like this. But obviously he knows something. At least maybe all the stuff that Madra have been telling about some maybe ancient magic, something about the Fae maybe. But it's strange how he says there's heretical magic if maybe he started to think that she is an alchemist.
Yeah, I think he probably thinks this is not possible because they've been trying to get rid of alchemists.
Mhm.
And how would he not know that there was one? I think his job was to rid the Silver City of alchemists, because she would have been terrified that they awakened the Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And they've managed to survive thousands of years without awakening, or 1,000 years, without awakening the Quicksilver. I think he just prides himself on what he would have done to get rid of them, and he hasn't. And so it can't be possible that an alchemist is here.
Yeah.
There's a really suspicious mention of Vorath. Do you remember Vorath, the guy that was peddling snake oil in the town?
Yeah.
Sarah says, Harron was right. I was already dead. No one could survive the injuries he'd inflicted upon me, but Hayden was still alive. Elroy, maybe even Vorath. Random.
Yeah.
Though the cry that came from his shop as I fled earlier suggested otherwise. So long as my friend still lived, I had every reason to hurt Harron. Why does she mention Vorath here? Like, she suggests that he's dead because there was like a cry coming from his shop.
Mhm.
I don't think he's dead, but I do think it's weird that he's mentioned in this paragraph. She doesn't mention Carrion. She mentions Vorath, and he's just the guy that sells shit on the street.
Yeah, obviously there's more relationship here that we know so far.
Yeah, he's definitely going to come back, and he's definitely a Fae. I mean, we said that in the last one, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Everyone is fair in the Silver City.
Yeah.
Very much. I won't be surprised, to be honest. Maybe that's the reason that all the conditions aren't so bad, because they want all the people there die. Maybe it's gonna be a surprise that the only one who wasn't a Fae was Saeris, Hayden.
Yeah, maybe. That would be funny.
Yeah.
So Harron is on the floor having a terrible time. The Quicksilver has like gone into his mouth or his ear. I can't remember which orifice it goes in, but it goes in. He says, Saeris, call it off. You don't understand. What doesn't she understand?
Obviously, he knows what's going on. He's older enough to know what the Quicksilver is doing or what it means.
Yeah. So I think he is worried that the gates are opening here, because he does talk about what will be unleashed. He knows about the feeders. He knows about the vampires.
Yes.
And I think that's what he's worried about. And this, like, again, though, could be, if it was Kingfisher's dad who shut the gate, that could have been an act of, like, self-sacrifice to keep Everlayne safe from not only Madra, but also to keep Carrion safe from the feeders. And well, I wouldn't have made sense, would it? Because, yeah, from the feeders. Because the vampires, if they'd have bitten him, then they would have been cured anyway. But it could have been an act of self-sacrifice to keep the gates closed and evil not spreading between worlds. So if Harron is Kingfisher's dad, then he could be like, you don't understand, don't open the gates. Or you're not supposed to be meeting Kingfisher.
Yeah.
This could also be another part of the plan from the gods not to make these two meet.
Yes, definitely he knows more than he let it see or let it show. And this part when she is hurting him and he's basically begging them, make it stop. And she's even saying like, oh, what's going on now? You don't want to come with me through that doorway that you mentioned before, Captain. And here's when he starts to say, I can't go, she won't let me. And we know what happened in the end with him, but this is really interesting because how Madra can do that, like control somebody's soul or somebody's life to the point that if this person dies, it won't go, I don't know, nowhere else. It won't go to heaven. It won't go to, I don't know, be a ghost in the woods or something like this. He just gets stuck in hell, and he knows that. So how Madra has this power, what she is, like a kind of demon that rules the hell or something like this.
Well, we know that Malcolm had his own type of hell. I don't think there's any reason why Madra couldn't have her own. I mean, there's 3 books, we said this last week. Well, we know that there's potentially 5. There's 5 gates of hell. Does each one have a different kind of Hades version?
Yeah, ruler, yes.
Yeah. Everlayne is adamant that Madra is human, though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the bit that's weird, isn't it?
Yes. And obviously she's been a big part from the Fae war because even Kingfisher knows her very well. And he even blamed her for everything that happened to his family. So
the one thing we haven't talked about is that perhaps Harron and Madra have this type of relationship where Harron gave a bit of his soul to her, and as long as she lives, he can't die.
Mm-hmm.
The number one argument against that is that it feels like so when Loreth explains this magic, it seems as though that's a spirit form. So unless the spirit form is kind of given a body or is able to possess a body, then this can't be the case. But it does feel like there could be something there, like similar magic to what Kingfisher and Loreth have,
Mm-hmm.
in that possibly Harron sacrificed a part of his soul for something. I don't know what he received in exchange for that. But then, as long as she lives, he can't die.
Yeah.
And that could be the only other explanation. But it doesn't fit with exactly what Loreth explains, because it's definitely a spirit form there, isn't it?
Yes, I was thinking exactly the same. That's how it sounds, a little bit very similar. Maybe it's another kind of bow to Madra, so she is given maybe eternal life as long as she is alive. And because he's given this gift, he can't do anything else. He's just a slave, a puppet on her hands. It's just like it's changing everything
super
for
interesting.
Yeah.
So Harron says, "You'll end the world with this. Don't let it take me, please." So I can't shake the feeling that this is foreshadowing. He knows that she's an alchemist. He knows that she's the kind of alchemist that can destroy worlds. I think he knows about this tree. I think he knows a lot more than meets the eye.
It's interesting because at this point he has the Quicksilver going into his body, and the Quicksilver is like showing some stuff the Quicksilver knows. But I said it's interesting is because it's saying this because it's the Quicksilver showing all this kind of things, or he knew this already before the Quicksilver was in touch with him.
Yeah, the Quicksilver's definitely showing him things, but why does it do that? Does it do that to terrify people, or can it not help it? Just does it as soon as it enters?
Yes, I think it's kind of like, with the Imperial series, that when the dragon goes into the mind of the rider, everything, yes, goes inside as well. So memories, everything.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same with the Quicksilver.
So Harron shouts, Saeris, no, again, do not touch the sword, do not turn the key, do not open the gate. He says, you've got no idea the hell you will unleash on this place. So he's talking about feeders, vampires. I know that we can blame, this made me think about Madra. I know we can blame Madra for the way that she treats the people, her subjects. She treats the third. She doesn't give them enough water. She's basically makes them infertile. But can we blame her for wanting to shut out the monsters?
This really curious because she is the one who is doing this, but at the same time, she is the one who has an alliance with Belcon and Malcolm. It feels that on one hand, she is going against them, like just making sure that nobody can travel in any realms. So it's just like, you have your shit there, let me.
But they forgive her by the end.
Yes, so at the end, was just like she's been just naughty. But yeah, it's all fine now.
You can't really blame her for wanting to shut them out. But possibly by the end of the book, she realised that she can't control it. There are more alchemists, we know, not just Saeris. She's just the most powerful. So maybe she's like, well, I can't keep them out now, so I'm just going to have to join them.
Yes.
It sounds like I'm sympathising with Madra, 'cause she is the worst. But I can't, I would possibly consider doing the same thing, like not treating my people like shit. But, I mean, shutting out, like closing the gate.
It's funny because she's kind of like a dictator, and she wants to make sure that no other dictators come to tell her what she can, what she can't do.
It's not like the feeders. So I'm not saying shut out the other dictators, but that is what dictators would say. Like, I'm the boss. So I'm talking about the feeders. They are terrifying. Like, keep them away at all costs. Like, I'm not talking about shutting the gates for exploration and like being able to live in different places if you want to. I just mean like protect against the feeder.
So at this point, Saeris wants to kill Harron, but she doesn't have like something to do it. So she spots the sword is in the middle of the room. So she goes to the sword, she takes it out of the floor, and then the floor turns into a pool of metal. And then she said that Death himself appears to take her. At least that's what she thinks. And this is the entrance of Kingfisher. He sees her with a sword, and then he says, like, graceless gods. There he hears, what's this? A fucking joke? And it's because I think at this point that maybe he recognized her, because there's a part when they're talking in the future. His mom was showing sketches of how the future partner looks like, and he, I think, at this point recognized her. But at the same time, he was expecting to see a Fae, and then he sees there's a human, and maybe that's the reason when he says, "Is this a fucking joke?"
I don't think it's the ears. I think it's the fact that she's nearly dead. I don't think he would be like, "Oh, is this a fucking joke? She's not got pointy ears." I think it's like, "Is this a fucking joke? She's dead."
Yeah, I can hear to meet my partner and she's going to die soon.
Yeah, but he didn't. So there's also the part where he thought it was the sword that was calling him.
Mm-hmm.
So he thought because his dad was dead, it would be his birthright to have that sword. The sword would be passed down to him.
Yeah.
But I think this is another confirmation that Kingfisher's dad isn't dead, because it's not the sword that's calling to him. It's
the bond.
It's the mating bond.
Yeah, I wasn't completely sure how to take this one because we had Saeris on the floor dying. She's human. But at the same time, she's holding the sword of his father. So, on one hand, I wasn't sure it's talking about her or is talking about she's holding the sword. And we know that with Kingfisher's sword, only him can hold it. So maybe with this sword as well, it's supposed to be just only his father, the only one who can hold it. But she is grabbing this sword, she have it, And maybe that could be like another the reason for him to say this kind of thing, why she's holding the sword.
Yeah, but it seems that an alchemist can hold the swords because she holds Danya's sword
Yes,
as well. So I think that's because she's an alchemist, isn't it?
yes. But then Harron as well, he sees Kingfisher, and he says, I will not tell your lies and your serpent tongue. Choke and die. And that's the part when I think that he actually knew Kingfisher, or at least he had like a clear representation of what Kingfisher is, or the Fae. Because it's like he knows it's a Fae, and maybe he's thinking that the Fae is coming to, I don't know, to go against Madra or to turning him or something. But at the same time, what we said before, the Kingfisher like recognized the armor, and they said that he deserved everything that's happened to him. So I was thinking, is this true? Maybe they know each other or something.
So they could have known each other from the maze, but he wouldn't have been able to pass through the Quicksilver. I don't think Harron is talking to Kingfisher when he says, I won't take your lies or your serpent tongue. I think he's talking to the Quicksilver at that point, because it's talking to him inside. I think he's going totally gaga in the corner.
All right.
What I think is interesting is that she is convinced that Kingfisher is death and he's coming to claim her. And she thinks he's about to swing the sword and like chop off her head, but then he gets distracted and he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not the case. If you haven't already read it, there is a Kingfisher POV of this moment in the chapter The Maze, which is available definitely in the US if you download the Kindle Unlimited version of the book. But anyway, so it's interesting she calls him Death, because we find out that they're gods bonded. And the gods bond, we find out from Telena, that it usually means that one of them dies. This tragic tale. And she says it's like he's ascending from the very depths of hell, and we know where he has come from at this point because of the new Kingfisher POV chapter. It's like he comes directly from the maze, and I think we know that from the end of the book anyway, so it's not
no spoiler.
Yeah. So there's 2 points here. One that foreshadows kind of that god's bond, and one that foreshadows the end of the book where we end up back in the maze and the pool of Quicksilver under Gilethrai.
Yeah.
So Harron is talking to himself. He's seeing what he thinks is quite harrowing things.
Yeah, so he started to shout, Obsidian, Obsidian. He's crying, broken everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And he just started to have kind of like hallucinations. And obviously, it's here the Quicksilver start to maybe showing some stuff.
Yeah, it says the walls, they move. So he's in the maze, isn't he? He's seeing that fifth gate of hell.
Yes, it's something that we will see by the end, but when Kingfisher is leading all the gang to go to the part of the coin that the walls shift, make it harder to go to this part.
Yeah.
So here, Kingfisher goes to told to Harron and say, where is Madra? And Harron is basically in another world. So Kingfisher goes back, he put his attention to Saeris, and then he just give it the necklace, put it to her, and he says just pathetic. He says as well, if you die before you can give this back, I'm not going to be happy. Then Kingfisher take her, and they go to the other side, and that is the end of the chapter.
Yeah, and the Kingfisher POV chapter of this point does give a totally different perspective on this. I do want to talk about it briefly, so I'm going to say like a minute, skip forward a minute if you haven't yet read it. The Kingfisher's POV obviously cuts off a little bit later than this because Saeris has passed out.
Yeah.
And he says that he knows that she's going to basically turn the world upside down. He's already felt the bond slip into place at this point. He's already felt the fluttering of wings that he is associated with Osha. So we get the he fell first moment. And
Yes,
Yeah.
and he's talking about he is the one being pathetic because the idea was go after Madra, but he can't leave her there. So that's why he's saying pathetic.
Yeah.
Memoirs of Luzbel. She loved him. She lost him. And he came back. But wasn't completely him. She feared him. She fought him. But she fell for him. Memoirs of Luzbel. Now available on Amazon.
Okay, now let's move on and go to chapter 6, Everlayne.
So the chapter title, Everlayne, not much to say about this one. We obviously meet Everlayne. It's clear she will be important.
Mhm.
She is very important at the end of the book, and she is kind of the stimuli for the resolution. So she gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
But yeah, no crypticness at all in this title. It's the first time we meet Lady Pointy Ears.
Yes. So we start this chapter as with Saeris telling a story. And she's saying that when she was 8, it rained in the Silver City and it rained the whole day. That was the first time when she actually felt cold and there was water for everyone. And I was thinking, is this might be like a natural reason or something happened that made this place that when we had 2 suns and it's basically always dry, always hot, and something happened and it makes everything rain. And I think maybe in future books we will find a explanation at this point. There's not just gonna be like a random story that she's having here just to say or just to show that right now she's feeling cold.
Yeah, I think this is 100% a punishment for Baal and Mithrin. So I think another god, or even Zareth, had intervened, and possibly Baal and Mithrin were trying to manipulate something, and there was like fight back from the gods. We get a really similar story around how Baal and Mithrin became 2 gods when they were originally 1. It also links to a Greek myth that we'll get to when we get to that point. But this really feels like a link back to that, and possibly a great storm in the sky that punished Baal and Mithrin. And we know how they like to interfere with...
Human business.
All right. Interfere with fate.
Yeah. Okay. So Saeris is telling that at this point she can't see that she feels that she's locked in darkness. She can hear some voices from time to time, but always it's a female voice. That's always there. They're like telling secrets, they're speaking to her, they're singing to her. And then she says as well that it's a soft and sweet that made her miss her mom. And I was thinking here as well that might be like another hint that maybe her mom could be a Fae as well, because relating that sweet voice, there's a Fae voice with her mom.
Yeah, but her mum told her stories about how bad the Fae were. So I don't know. Why would she tell her stories about how bad they were? Just to throw her off the scent, maybe. She says she couldn't understand the words of the songs she sang. The language was unfamiliar and strange. So we find out in the next set of chapters that we'll cover next week that they actually speak the same language. So Everlayne must have been speaking Old Fae here. Because that does exist. My favourite line of this chapter is where she says, "I lay in the darkness wishing she would just fuck off." It's so funny.
Yeah, because we're going to see later on the Everlayne treats her like it's just her personal doll, and Saeris doesn't want like anything that's sweet or sympathy, nothing
One
like
dress
that.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how you'd be treated if you're a princess. So
Yeah.
poor Everlayne doesn't really know. Although I don't trust Everlayne.
Yeah,
I
there's some lines about her that is suspicious, but we will get there.
Yeah. But also, like, she's wishing she would just fuck off. Like, be careful what you wish for. That does actually happen at the end of the book.
Yes. So she awakes in a feather mattress, and then she says as well the only one where she had slept before was Karen Swift, but this one was far bigger.
And didn't smell of muscarad. This chapter's really funny.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, there was one of the another hint that Karen is a Fae as well,
Yeah.
because how many people have a mattress?
Feather mattress.
Yeah, it's something to have in consideration, the devils and the details, and this is one of those when they obviously when you start reading again, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
But the very first time when you read it, and you are clueless.
Yeah, I did not expect Carrion to be Fae.
Me neither. So here, when she awakes, Everlayne appears as well in the bedroom, and she starts to talk to her. She offers as well something to drink. Saeris can't believe it that she's given this much water that she just drinking in one go, thinking that maybe if she had a mistake or she going to change her mind, it's gonna be too late. But now she given just another cup of water. She introduces herself, says that I'm Everlayne. I don't know your name. I've been calling you all this time Liz. And this is something that we mentioned, or you mentioned, in the previous episode as well. It's curious that she said that she was Lisa, like a main name.
Yeah, so she says Lisa Fosik.
Mm-hmm.
So I genuinely do have a theory that Lisa Fosik is real, and we are going to meet her.
Yeah.
We're going to find out who she is. Possibly Saeris' real mother. There is, interestingly, if you look at the map in Quicksilver, honestly, look that we're reading.
Imperium.
There is an island called Lycia, which is down in the southeast of the map. Sounds very similar to Lycia. I wonder if some kind of Lycian royalty.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a reach, but...
Okay. Once Everlayne gets closer to Saeris see the pointing ears. She sees as well the canine, and then she can't believe that she is actually a Fae. And she starts to remember all the horrors, all the stories about the Fae, and she can't believe it. Everlayne said, well, I'm real. And there's a strange part here when Saeris say, no, but Fae as well have wings. Everlayne snorted, and she said, we haven't had those for thousands of years. And this made me think, it's gonna be maybe a chance that we'll see maybe, I don't know, Saeris with wings.
Yeah, because we haven't seen the gods bond for that many years. Yeah, like I could totally believe it. I like the theory.
Yeah, it's again one of those random lines to not mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, also you wouldn't think that by the end of the book, Saeris would end up half Fae, half vampire. So by the end of Brimstone, she could. I mean, this is really unhinged at this point. But we know that Brimstone is related to Omnam Chakrai.
Yeah.
We will see the skull of Omnam Chakrai in the next chapter.
Yes.
I'm not suggesting that Omnam Chakrai isn't dead, but I do not think that it was the last dragon. There's way too much emphasis on the fact that it was the last dragon. So it wouldn't be surprised me if she's half vampire, half Fae by the end of this book, and by the end of the next one she's like a third vampire, a third Fae, a third Omnam Chakrai dragon type thing. We always have to have one unhinged dragon.
Yes, Saeris have had a dragon as well. But again, this reminds me, talking about Imperium, that part where Jack Barlow saying, oh, another one who's talking the precognition is a thing. So here again, we haven't seen one of those for thousands of years. So
yeah,
we definitely will get one.
If not Saeris, we will get a Fae with wings, and maybe it's Vorath.
Yeah,
maybe Vorath, who's like peddling snake oil in Silvarin.
Maybe Elroy.
Yeah,
he's been stuck in that world for 1,000 years, and he had wings.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, there's all these traveling Fae that could be all over the place, all over the universe, in all these different leaves on the tree, and they're going to start coming back. It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Saeris is reciting the history that she's been fed. She says the Fae are warmongers, cannibals, beastly creatures with no temperance, sense of morality, nor any notion of mercy. The eldest immortals visited their wrath upon the land with an iron fist, another mention of iron, leaving a path of chaos and destruction in their wake. The 7 cities rejoiced when, and then she cuts off. But this is actually true. So I think that it's the lies, quote unquote, that Madra has been feeding them because she wanted the history, basically. She wanted to erase the Fae, but she wanted to paint them as beastly creatures. But when you consider that Malcolm is the oldest of the oldest Fae, they are kind of cannibals, aren't they? He's drinking blood of humans. A vampire could be, I mean, they're not eating the flesh, but you could definitely put it in the same bracket as cannibalism.
Yeah.
So none of this is actual lies when you consider Malcolm.
Yeah, it's probably just how it was during the course of the Fae.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she also says her mother told her stories about them bringing war and death and disease, meaning she was either believing the lies, so either Saeris' mum believed the lies, or she at least wanted Saeris to believe the lies. Had she potentially had her heart broken by a Fae, possibly Saeris' real dad?
Yeah.
Or had the stories been passed down many generations? And because we know when we speak to Zareth at the end of the book that he had to intervene generations before to make sure that she was born in the right place. So it could have been a great-great-great-grandfather or great-great-great-grandmother who had broken the heart of the other person, and then they'd started passing down these stories about how bad the Fae were, and they were beastly creatures, and they brought disease because of some ancient heartbreak somewhere in the family, like in Coco. Maybe maybe he came through the gate and then was sealed somewhere else, and she thought that he'd left her when actually she got trapped.
Yeah. Another sad story here.
I know. I do feel like there's a reason, though, why Saeris' mum is peddling these, like, all the Fae are bad. And I think it's to do with some kind of heartbreak.
Trauma behind, yeah.
Yeah.
It could be, totally. Okay, so if we carry on with the story, Saeris gives her name to Everlayne. Everlayne's eyebrow arched and said there's a pretty name, a Fae name. And again, it's just more hints about Saeris' origins, that she has something about Fae. Then also in the second scene, we meet Renfes that came to the bedroom looking for the necklace that she is wearing. It says that he needed more than her. Everlayne doesn't believe him that, oh, come on, it's been just a couple of days, it can't be that bad.
10 days.
Yes. But Renfes said that, no, every time that he takes it off, it's getting worse and worse, and right now he really needs it. Saeris gives the necklace to Renfes because obviously she doesn't want any problem with this beast or man, as she is kind of like describing. And then he leaves the room immediately.
Yeah, but notice that he couldn't touch the necklace. He asks her to put it directly in the velvet pouch.
Yes.
That is important because he touches it later and he winces and it's painful for him to touch.
Yeah.
I suspect there might be some iron in the necklace.
You think? Iron?
Yes. Because Fae can't touch iron, but we know from the Kingfisher POV chapters that Kingfisher has had to build up his tolerance to it. There has to be a reason why he had to build up his tolerance to it. He started with iron filings, and he can wear the necklace no problem. I suspect there's like a very small amount of iron in there.
Yeah, could be.
I believe that there is something between Everlayne and Renfes. It's all like a bit tense and a bit like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. There's definitely been something that's happened. We know for a fact that she's seen as bald because we find that out later. This chapter like made me laugh out loud a few times. But yeah, I feel like there is history there. Everyone is saying that Loreth gets really stressed when Everlayne goes missing, and he does. And there does seem to be something there. But I think there is history with Renfes and Saeris. And I think you can feel that every time they're together.
Yes, You can tell that Renfrew is like really soft when she is there as well. And I'm guessing they know each other for a long time. I mean, by the end, Kingfisher is half brother with Everlayne. Kingfisher kind of like a really good relationship with Renfrew's twin sister as well. So I'm not sure if I may be.
Mirel.
Yes, the Everlayne and Renfrew's. I don't know if there was something, or maybe Stranf was the one that wants something, but she's a princess, so maybe she can't.
What? So he just randomly showed her his balls one day and was like, "Do you?" No, I think, or maybe he sent her an unsolicited dick pic.
Maybe having a bath, or he was not ready and she just appeared and then boom.
Maybe. I don't know. That's the question. If we speak to Callie Hart at some point, I'm going to be like, right, so the burning question. What was the situation where Everlayne saw Renfrew's balls?
She said, can you pass me the nuts? And he misunderstood the question.
I did have the chance to ask her a question, and I wish I'd thought of that instead. I said, which parts should we pay attention to? And she said side characters talking about different factions of people and Fae, which comes into play next week. So we can do that. Anyway, yeah, there's definitely 100% some history there.
Something there, yes. Okay, so Renfrew leaves the bedroom and Everlayne tells to Saeris that she needs a bath because in an hour she will meet the king. There's Belicon de Barra, which is strange because it's a little bit like Spanish as well. De Barra, and in Spanish it means like the bar.
The what?
The bar. De Barra. In Spanish is, well, in English it's the bar, but he is called Belicon de Barra.
Is it a surname though? Is it a well-known?
I never heard anyone called with this kind of last name, but definitely it's a Spanish name for an object, a bar. But
I'll have to read the Spanish version and see if it changes.
probably it's going to be exactly the same. Belicon de Barra.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm,
But you'll have to read it and tell us.
yeah.
I should read it.
I just want to point it out that it might be some Spanish stress in this book. So the theory about El Rey could be something actually
Okay.
there.
Okay, well, the bar is well and truly on the floor with this guy.
Yes. But after having a bath, Everlayne is doing Saeris' hair, and she said dark hair is a royal trait amongst the royal-Fae. So we know that she had kind of like a percentage of Fae blood, and this dark hair is telling that maybe she might be related to a royal family.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that eventually we'll find out that if we're going through all the family tree of Saeris, she will be royal.
Yeah, I think the island of Lycia is is a strong candidate because of this this link to Lissa and Lys and that being her name. I think there's a strong chance that she could be a descendant of Fae royalty from that island of Lycia. Everlayne also chooses a royal blue dress, which doesn't feel accidental.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And Saeris looks beautiful. She even said that this is probably the first time that she's actually that clean or that she's looking that good.
Definitely.
Yes. And Everlayne as well. She's really pleased and said that it's time to meet the king. And that is the end of the chapter.
Yep. Chapter 7, The Dog.
Anything to say about the title?
Well, the dog is obviously the nickname that Belicon gives Fisher, who is his stepson. And when you think about that, it's a really quite barbaric, isn't it, the way that he treats him?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking that he's just saying this because right now Kingfisher is without the necklace and he's losing control, so he's like a beast. And that's why he call it, right now he's like a dog, just like an animal. But we don't know if maybe this come from way before all of this. They just another way to show no sympathy at all for Kingfisher.
Yeah.
So we start this chapter when they're leaving the bedroom and they start to go to the way to see the king, and they find some statues of the gods. And Saeris tells to Everlayne that they had no gods and the Silver City. The closest thing is Madra, that basically she put herself the god because she never died. She's been for more than 1,000 years. And there's a lot of gods that they don't know, they don't remember at all. And the ones that are actually believers on Madra, they carry a strand of her hair and leather pouches on their belts.
Yes, that is what I was trying to remember last week. I was like, what was in that pouch? And it's a strand of her hair. Weird. Where are they getting that from?
So they think if they're carrying this hair from her, they will live for a long time as well.
If they're seen to be worthy.
Yes, exactly. Well,
which is kind of like never going to be proven wrong, is it? Because you can just be like, they weren't worthy when they died.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, it's like something that you can never really prove wrong.
Yeah.
No, it's obviously not right.
How they get the hair? Is she like herself, like cutting and giving to them to carry it?
Possibly.
Just selling
weirdo
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, good business there.
Everlayne
says that she is chosen to let them vanish from her people history. It speaks for the volumes of her corruption. So Everlayne is talking about the statue they're looking at and said that one is Styx, god of the shadows. And I'm thinking the Madra is Styx champion, because there's a reference here when Everlayne says that Madra has been chosen to vanish the other gods. And in the previous episode, when I was saying the Madra, since that she came from nowhere, that she just appeared from the shadows, I was thinking, is she related to Kingfisher? Because it's like both had this kind of power. I don't know if it's a Fae power. But now when this god is here, and we know gods are real in these stories, I'm thinking that on the same way that Kingfisher is Saeris champion, I think Madra is Styx champion. And she is the one who is making sure the other gods are forgotten. And she may be enjoying some of the powers of the gods, and that's why she managed shadows as well.
So I really like this theory. I don't think that... I'm not sure that she's making sure that the others are forgotten, because Styx is the shadows, and it's only Baal and Mithrin who are kept alive as gods. They're like kind of the sons are kind of kept. But I fell into a rabbit hole, and the goddess Styx is actually a god from Greek mythology. It is not only a goddess, but also a river. So the river Styx. And it was the boundary between the overworld and the underworld. And she was the enforcer of fate, which is another cool thing, because we know that the fates are the gods. The fates is another word for the gods in this story. And interestingly, an oath sworn on the river Styx was unbreakable. So even a god, so Zeus himself, could not have broken an oath that was sworn on the river Styx. I don't like, and this, I'm not sure yet how 100% linkable it is to the story, but I definitely think there's something, because the most relevant story around the river Styx for me involves the sun god Helios, who swore on the river Styx to grant his son any wish. His son then asked him if he could drive the sun chariot through the sky. And obviously Helios had to grant it, because he'd sworn the oath on the river Styx that he had to do it. And so he allowed his son to drive the sun chariot through the sky, but his son was a liability, like could not drive this thing, nearly crashed it into the earth, destroying the planet. And interestingly, Zeus had to intervene. So Zeus intervened by shooting a bolt of thunder or lightning through the sky, and took down this chariot and killed him instantly. Two things. One, that feels like the story that Everlayne shares around the lightning splitting the god Baal Mithrin into two, Baal and Mithrin. And it also possibly feels like that one day that rain came to Silfarin. There was a big storm in the sky.
Yeah.
So that felt like a very relevant link and possibly a bit of inspiration for the story. So I really, I'm not sure how that links Styx to shadows, and it possibly doesn't. Or we might find out later. But it does seem relevant for the story of Baal and Mithrin. And I thought it was interesting that there is a real, our world kind of myth of a god of the river Styx. And
Yeah. I really like it because I believe this could be clues about what's going to happen or stuff about the characters. And I really like that it might be a link between Zeus and from the lightning bolt, and then here in this one where this storm is coming and the god Balmitin doesn't is care about this storm, and then it goes to split and meet.
Yeah, my favourite fantasy books are the ones where there's some crossover between our history, myth, and the fantasy books, because then you just think, especially when there's something so imaginative as a tree of life where all the leaves are different universes, our leaf could still be there and we're just living this different universe and time is not a thing. And then we have the Fae leaf and you have all these leaves, but actually the gods are the same, so the crossover. But when I was in secondary school and I was learning religious education, which is something we have to do in the UK, my teacher was a priest, and he spoke about, we had to learn about different religions. He was a Greek Orthodox priest, but he spoke about God potentially being a sphere and of light or energy or whatever, and the different people of different religions were all standing in different parts of the world looking at the same thing but from different angles, and from different angles it looked like different and represented different things, but ultimately it was because this thing is so massive you can only ever see such a small part of it. And so I think it's kind of relevant to the story in that the gods could be the same, but they are just seen differently by different people. And where you might have in Greek mythology, you might have Helios being the sun god. Well, in Fae mythology, you've got Baal and Mithrin being the sun god.
Yeah. It would be really cool if maybe in one of these, traveling through the Quicksilver, we go into our realm, and then by the description, we can tell there's actually our world.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah.
So linking all together.
Yeah. So we also in this part learn about, as I mentioned, the story of Balia and Min, but we also hear the name of Kurin, god of secrets. This instantly made me think of the Quicksilver when Saeris finally makes the relic, the ring, and it says, "Tell me a secret. We want to know a secret." So this is where I kind of thought that possibly some of the voices of the gods were represented in this Quicksilver. And maybe this relic that she creates is linked to Kurin, the god of secrets. And this could come back in one of the next books, that could be a link to her talking to Kurin. Because I genuinely believe that we're going to meet all the gods at some point. Kingfisher could introduce her to all 7 of them.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I think we're going to have an Avengers moment when we could see all the gods coming together for something really big that will happen. I don't know if a fight or it could be because each one maybe had a different champion that is intervening on the role for the other one. So maybe we'll see a fight between the gods.
Yeah, maybe. This next one is not on the pronunciation guide. So I'm going to say Nisinai.
Yes, that's all right for me.
So Nisinai, goddess of masks. I don't have much to say about this one other than there are a few mention of masks in this series, but they're mostly to keep sand out of mouths in Silfaran. But I think this could show that there's lots of people who are not what they seem. Carrion being one of them.
Yeah.
Belicon being another. There are a lot of people wearing masks in this figuratively. So thinking about who else could be wearing masks.
Potentially Everlayne. There's the one who's talking about this.
Everlayne.
Mhm.
Yeah, I genuinely do. I don't trust her. She's the Dane of this series for me. That's going to be something.
Melicon's daughter, so yeah, can't be that good, isn't it?
Some of the things she says to Fisher, like, she's just a bit selfish. And maybe at best she's selfish. At worst, she's
She's just a princess, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I don't trust her yet.
Yeah.
Malleus, god of dawn and new beginnings. So this dawn and new beginnings sounds positive, but I suspect this also potentially represents death. So I don't know if it's the mal part, because mal is Latin for bad, and that makes me think of a negative god. But if you think about, for example, in tarot, you've got the tower, the lightning struck tower.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it can be seen as a really bad card if you get the tower. But actually, it can also just mean the end of an era, so the end of something. And with the end of something comes the start of something else, generally. So the god of dawn and new beginnings makes me think of that, like the tower card. And yeah, I've got a feeling it's supposed to sound positive, but actually it could be also a negative.
Yeah. They also pass in front of the statue of Saeris. There's one of the main characters in this book as well, the god of chaos and change. And this statue is given the back, so he's facing the wall instead. And Everlayne says that it's just because nobody wants the attention of this god, and even she patted the boot to get his attention away from them. Saeris doesn't. She placed her hand against the statue boot. So I think this is something different. So it's not just like a little tap in the boot. She's just like holding it. And maybe I think here is just like another hint that she's maybe calling his attention. I don't know if it's something intentionally or it's something that instantly she's doing it because this is her god.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing, isn't it, anyway? Because they're all saying that they want to turn him away, they don't want his attention, but his attention is already well and truly on her. It has been for generations because he's intervening. But interesting, though, that Everlayne said out loud, we all pray that the gods come back at some point, but we all also secretly pray that he gets lost along the way. She says that out loud, and he's real.
Yeah, he's listening right there.
Yeah. And then she gets kidnapped. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like, smite you, Lady Pointy Ears.
Who get lost now?
So just before they enter the room where the king is, she notices tiny birds with colourful feathers fluttering around. I didn't notice this on my first read. But I was like on the high alert for bird references. And she says they're engaged in aerial acrobatics. But then nothing is said of that.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Yes, I was really intrigued when you started pointing out all this bird reference that we have so far here. Obviously, it might be clues that Callie Hart is giving us here, so I'm going to be more in the look for bird reference of bird names.
Yeah, there is another story in mythology where it involved the gods, and I can't remember, I'm going to have to bring this back again next week, but there was two people who were turned into kingfishers, and it feels birdy. So, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so they go to the Grand Hall, which is massive. One of the things that caught her attention is the massive skull of the dragon. Everlayne tells her that this is from the last dragon, and his name was Omnan Shakrai. A legend amongst my people, is what she said. And this is the story about how the dragon dies and the Kingfisher point of view, if I haven't read it.
Yeah.
Yes, which is a really good story.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's like feels like a different type of story, doesn't it? But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really cool. And there's definitely crossover between this story. So Everlayne makes a big deal out of saying last dragon. We've already talked about this in the next episode, but
Mhm.
my theory is that there are more dragons and they will be a focus of brimstone. So brimstone is an archaic name for sulfur. We know that from the Kingfisher POV chapter that there's brimstone is dripping from the teeth of Omnam Chakrai, that sulfur is something that you associate with the dragon's breath. And yeah, there's definitely more dragons. Anyone who says
That was the last one.
that was the last one,
There's
it's
no more.
not the last one.
Yeah.
So we see there's some chairs on the dais. Not all of them are full. We meet Aureus. He is pale and his skin is almost transparent. He's hostile. I got vampire vibes from this guy.
There's a part, I think, when Sarah said that even you can see like the veins and the forehead and the temples. I'm not sure if I take it as a vampire.
They have
'cause
black veins, don't they?
I think so. But also, long time ago, when people were talking about royal blood, is because only the people who were basically royals, they were always in the shade. They never went like working in the sun, so they were really pale. And because they were really pale, you can see the blue veins in the skin, and that's how the turn started to go so worldwide. And
I'm
I think
so pale. I can see my blue veins. Look.
yes, so here we go. A reference to that, which is not my case.
Mine is so blue. So maybe I'm like
Royal. Yeah.
Aureus, pale and hostile. Anyway, I don't think he's that important. I just
Yeah, that's the feeling. Yeah, it's really kind of like a bad guy.
yeah, but the name Aureus makes me think of gold.
For me, just like the biscuits, very similar to
Oreos.
Oreos. Maybe I'm hungry. I don't know.
Maybe. I was thinking of gold.
Gold.
Oro.
You're more mature than me, obviously.
I'm thinking more about Spanish now. You've got me on this like Spanish train.
Yes.
I've always been on the Spanish train. Right.
Okay, so Saeris meets the king and the others as well, and everyone is just looking at her because she's kind of like something new as well. She's a human, something that never happened before. Also, the king basically said because they saved her life, she has a debt with them, and she needs to pay with that. And the task that she needs to do is use the Quicksilver so they can start to traveling about other realms as well. And that's going to be her only mission in all of this.
Here, like, I think we need to assume that Belicon has already spoken to Madra or Harron in Gillethrai. So in this time, in this 10 days, I think Madra has travelled because they did not shut the Quicksilver, did they, when he left?
No, at this point, the Quicksilver is wide open.
Yeah.
Because she found it later on and she trying to go in. So the Quicksilver is, open.
Yeah, it's wide open at this point. And Belicon said something like, your brother's dead already. Madra declared that she would kill the whole ward. At least that is what I was told. He says, we know your queen, a power-hungry despot with a black and shriveled heart. Violence is her creed. If she swore to kill them, then everyone you once knew is now long dead, along with thousands more. So, who told him?
Yeah. This is strange because
He shouldn't know what happened in that chamber.
Nobody. He says
Kingfisher's not going to tell him.
Yeah. He says, I'm being told.
It's got to be Harron. Harron. Has to be. Harron is the only other person who witnessed it. Madra didn't even witness it.
Yeah.
Unless she was in the shadows. But we know that Harron is in Gillethrai at this point. So it must have been him that's told them.
But after telling her what she needs to do now, he dismisses her and rudely. And then he says also, bring the dog.
Bring in the dog.
And it's when Kingfisher appears and is attached by some guards that maybe have like some chains on him. Saeris recognizes him and says that Bellicons wants to kill him. Everlayne sees this as well, and then she starts basically begging to Malway, the oracle, to do something to help him. She's basically begging her and says that if she felt any love for her mom, that she need to do something.
Yeah. So Malway and Adina are both oracles.
Yes.
It seems as though they must have had a good relationship because Everlayne uses this to get Malway to act and to intervene.
Yes, because at the beginning, it seems that Malway is telling her or with the expression, what you want me to do, I can't do anything. And then it's when she mentions that's when she says, oh, the gods are talking to me.
Does she really hear the prophecy, or is she making it up to save him?
Like, you can't kill him, you need to save him, give another chance, and give me a pizza as well.
Yeah, but she does put on quite a good show. Like, some blue streams of energy come out of her eyes and
I
stuff.
think like the eyes are like glowing or something.
Yeah, exactly.
She got like wide eyes.
Yeah,
White,
and then it says blue blood drips down the sword. So I think maybe at first she's putting it on, but then when she actually touches the sword, she does get some serious prophecy.
Yeah.
I think this is the gods helping out Kingfisher again.
So at this point, Bellicon doesn't know what to do because on one hand, obviously he wants to kill him, but everyone starts to say the oracle is speaking, that he needs to leave and that kind of stuff. Until it's Ramphis, the one there, appear and says, "Put it in the front." Well, he says with his Scottish accent, "Put it in the front."
Is that your Scottish accent? That's amazing. So cute. It didn't sound Scottish, sorry.
I mean, that's the best I can do. Sorry. Not sorry. But then this is just given to Bellicon an idea because he said that it more likely will die if he's there anyway.
Yeah.
So Bellicon said, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't get why he lets him do that because he's sending him back. He believes that he must believe that he's not going to be able to do anything. Or he believes that Malcolm will capture him again because he's that close.
It's pretty much another send the march to the Royal Squadron because they will die there.
Yeah, but I don't think... Surely Bellicon doesn't believe he will actually die there. He's proved that he's strong and he would want him to go back to the maze to finish his exile, wouldn't he?
Maybe it's just like in the face of the public. So it's going to the public. The people that want Kingfisher alive had the chance, and the people that wanted dead given an opportunity as well. So everyone's happy.
So he gives back the necklace, which is the main point that Malway is saying. She's like, you must give back the necklace. He really needs it. So he gives it to Ramphis, and this is where Ramphis winces, suggesting that he can't touch it.
So Ramphis put the necklace on Kingfisher, and then Kingfisher started to be like back to normal, while Ramphis is just dragging him out of the room before Bellicon changed their mind. So they go out, and Everlayne and Saeris, they follow Kingfisher as well. And when they go outside, they say that he is being sick, but he's back to himself.
Yeah, and Saeris says, now I saw him properly for the first time, and a wave of shock rippled through me down to the roots of my soul. And that is her. So he got the bond feeling as soon as he crossed the Quicksilver and he rescued her.
Yeah.
She's getting it now, but she doesn't realize it because she wouldn't know. It's like, I would say, comparing it to like the first time you have a baby, you don't know because you didn't get the feeling, but the first time the baby moved, the feeling is like flutters or like a butterfly in your tummy. You don't know that that's what it is. But with the second baby, you feel it a lot sooner because you know what you're feeling, what you're like feeling for. You wouldn't get the chance to feel a bond a second time. So I don't think that's relevant. But she just wouldn't know what she was looking for.
Yes. Saeris is confused because now she knows that they are in war. And Everlayne as well, like, oh, I didn't tell you about it. Oh, sorry, what I have my mind. And she started to say that, yes, they've been in war, and there are those among our ranks that might pretend to be your friend, but often they're hiding knives behind their smiles, ready to sink them into your back. You do well to remember that. And that's the part when, for me, it's just like, why she said that? It's really suspicious. And even Saeris, she's thinking as well, is she's counting herself into those people.
Yeah, we only have ourselves to blame if Lane turns out to be sus and we didn't know, because it literally says it here. I don't trust Lane. I think this is a sign that we can't trust her. There's also a bit where she's like, you need to get out of here. She's basically criticizing Kingfisher, thinking that he's just been like slacking off for the last 110 years, but actually he's been in a maze in the 5th circle of hell. And there's just so many things that she says that are just a little bit like, I'm not really sure about her.
Yeah, that she just think that he's been messing around when he's not been even eating or sleeping for 100 years.
Yeah, and he just takes it.
Mm.
He doesn't fight with her.
Yeah. Well, he only said that I just need at this moment is a whiskey in a bed.
Yeah. So she sends them off to her bedroom and she's like, I'll be along in a minute. And we don't get that.
Yeah.
We don't get that scene, but I wonder how that pans out with the 3 of them in her bedroom when she's left.
Yeah. Sleepover.
Yeah, maybe we could get that POV chapter. So that is the end of the fine print. So shall we open Adina's sketchbook? The part of the show where we channel our inner eye as Mummy Kingfisher would and put our oracle skills to the test in the hope that we get at least something right for Brimstone. What is your favourite theory of the week?
I will stay with Saeris is part of a royal family of Fae, and we will find out in the next books, and there will be like a perfect explanation about it. So she's not just going to be the queen of the vampire, she also eventually going to be maybe the queen of the Faes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So other than the fact that Renthus might have sent Lane some unsolicited dick pics, I do think my favourite theory this week is probably Madra being Styx's champion. So that was
fun. I like that too.
So yeah, I think that hopefully we'll see a bit more of the gods. Well, definitely we'll see a bit more of the gods. When I went to see Callie Hart in Nottingham, somebody said, will we get to know more of the gods? And she said the gods are fully formed characters. Like they all have personalities and they come back. I'm pretty sure that's what she said anyway. Or was that, or am I getting mixed up with Rebecca Yarros? Because Rebecca Yarros said that as well.
Well, Rebecca Yarros haven't confirmed they're going to be like real gods appearing at the moment with her anything.
I'm pretty sure it was Callie Hart. We can find the clip. Okay, so sticking with the theme of precognition, let's look at the chapters we're going to cover next week. It's going to be 4 again next week.
Yes, so we're going to be with chapter 8, Alchemist, 9, Righteous Purpose, and number 10, Crumbs, and number 11, Swallow.
Yeah, so back to 4 chapters next week, but it's actually slightly shorter reading time prep than the last 2 weeks. What we've tried to do is split it so it's a reasonable amount of reading each week, because we know that this isn't the only book you're reading loads of other stuff. So just dipping back in for a few chapters to really dissect them is like the aim of this podcast. So, questions from the Quicksilver. This is the part of the show where we listen hard to the whispers of the Quicksilver and dig deep into our souls for the answer. So last week, we asked, if you had the chance to live forever, would you take it? And why? Why not?
It's a really tricky question, but if I'm honest with myself, I think I will. Because one of my, it's going to say dream is just to see how far humanity can go. Because there's been so many changes in the last, 200 years. Like if somebody from 200 years ago comes to our time, it will be just like shocked with all the stuff that we can do now, like having communication with people all around the world, flying, all that kind of stuff. So imagine how it's gonna be in the next 200 years. I would like to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think I would as well. You would have to live with a lot of loss, wouldn't you? You'd have to lose a lot of people that are close to you.
Yeah.
But just think what you could do with all that time. You could learn everything.
Yeah, every single language in the world.
Yeah.
Traveling, living in every single country.
Yeah. Just experience everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the grass is always greener, isn't it?
Mhm.
That maybe if you lived so long, maybe you wouldn't do so much because you had all the time in the world to do it. There was no urgency. But yeah, I think I would as well.
Yeah.
It feels like a bad thing to say, doesn't it, that you would choose that? But
Yeah.
you would hate it, I'm sure, like if you chose it. But I kind of think there's no good answer. I definitely would.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, is that thing like, oh, we're going to do when, I don't know, children or partner, if I'm the one who's going to live forever, and then just see them how in just 80 years they're just going to get old and die. And maybe 80 years for somebody that has all the time of the world is just a blink.
Mhm.
There will be like little oceans for you.
Yeah. This week is a really grim one, but I thought it would be really funny. So, in the Hall of Mirrors, when Saeris thinks she's dead, she says, Saeris Fane was 24 years of age when she died. Honestly, she should have died a lot sooner, but the girl never did know when to give up. So, as I said, it's a bit of a grim thought, but what would be your epitaph?
Oh.
If you didn't live forever.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a perfect follow-on from last week's question.
Can't wait to think about it.
I think it'd be quite funny.
Yeah. Should we go for funny ones?
Yeah,
or meaningful
funny
ones?
Yeah, funny.
Funny ones, okay.
No pressure to be funny, right?
Okay.
And with that question from the Quicksilver, that's all we've got time for this week. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram or TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. Come and join the conversation. We'd love to hear your theories. So if you've got a theory about Quicksilver, send it our way. We always try to give credit on the show and on social media because, let's be honest, the best theories come from all of you.
And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy.
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Quicksilver.
We'll see you next week for our deep dives of Chapter 8 to 11 and, of course, with more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye!